Hello, everyone. Welcome to Forum Friday. It's Christmas. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays,
Happy holidays.
everyone. So, what's going on, Mark?
I'm getting ready for the big storm coming up heading our way. Some of it's, of course, been rolling across Western Canada and the US already, and we're getting hit with it today. So we're expecting up to 8 inches of snow, changing over to rain and Category 1 hurricane winds. So um, Christmas is coming in with a blast.
Well, it's the same here in Portland too. I mean, we got dumped by
Yep.
snow and everything's
Yes,
shut
yes, yeah.
down.
You guys
So,
got hit really unusually, but yeah, I heard like
yeah.
Vancouver, just north of
Yeah.
you, they've got 2 years worth of snow in 2 days, right? So
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
what does it say on your shirt?
It says, "Please don't make me do stuff." So I got lots to do at
just
Christmas,
just
so
so
don't
that
make
you
me
guys know
do.
out there, I asked Mark to put on a Christmas sweater and he didn't want to put on a Christmas
This is
sweater.
as close as I
I
got.
wanted to put on a
It's
Christmas
got
sweater.
Snoopy on it, right? So he's my Christmas buddy. Oh yeah, Snoopy.
So, what are you baking this season? What
Uh,
do you have
well,
planned to bake this
I,
season?
you know, in my apprenticeship and my career as I worked as a pastry chef, Christmas is, of course, one of the busiest times of year, especially in retail, bakeries, and hotels and things like that. And so there's so many things that I enjoy baking because they all bring back different memories and things. And because, of course, I love to eat them too. So I've
Yeah, like gingerbread. I grew up with gingerbread.
Yes, yes, and I love the old-fashioned East
Yeah.
Coast soft gingerbread. It's
Yeah.
really soft and got lots of molasses in it. And I love making Christmas Stollen, which is a
Oh,
German
yes.
rich, dense fruit bread where you soak the dried fruits, raisins, currants, orange, and lemon peel in rum or brandy, and then you add slivered almonds to that. And it's a
Oh,
really
so
rich
good.
dough with lots of nutmeg and cloves and cinnamon. And it's something we made hundreds of in my apprenticeship all the time. And it's a very traditional, goes back to it originates in the 15th century. And in the 16th century, there was a time when oil was so expensive that butter was cheaper than oil. And the bakers of this one royal court, they petitioned the Pope, who was the one who decreed what they could use in Stollen. And they had to petition the Pope for numerous years to get him to approve them to use butter in the Stollen. And that happened in mid 16th century, roughly. And ever since then, it's been a butter Stollen, right? So it's
Oh.
very incredible, interesting history, right?
And there is like, isn't there like a thing of marzipan in the Stollen?
There are
That's
some that do
delicious.
marzipan as well, where you put like a log of marzipan inside in the middle.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, and those are really nice. And we also, my apprenticeship, we also did them made with poppy seed, where we made a poppy seed, almost like a custard made with ground poppy seed, and that would get rolled up almost like a Swiss roll into the Stollen, and it's really good, right? It's really, really
Wow.
good. Yeah. Yeah, and so I'm
All
making
right.
lots of different cookies as well.
So are you
Macaroons.
gonna make some Stollen and send it to me?
Oh yeah, yeah. I'll make another batch and send you
It's a
one.
little
Yeah,
too late.
absolutely. Yeah.
I'll take whatever leftover Stollen you have
No, you would love
and
it.
gingerbread.
Yeah, it's really special, right? So lots of different things, tons of cookies, lots of different cookies, piped shortbread, gingerbread, as we said, um, and make these oatmeal crisps, and I make cinnamon stars, which is it's all ground almonds and cinnamon mixed with like a royal icing mixture to turn it into a dough, and then you spread the royal icing on top and cut out the stars and bake them. So they all look perfectly iced, and they're nice and cinnamony with the almond, and yeah, so lots of different treats, right? And
That's awesome. That's gonna keep you busy.
yes, yeah, I have fun with it. Yeah.
So before you start, let's go with a forum.
All
What
right.
is
Yes.
this? What
Yes.
is this discussion topic about inconsistent wheat flour in Brazil? That
Well, we have
is Argentinian wheat.
we have a member in Brazil who contributes a lot, and they are getting their, as we so often talk about, get your C of A, get your certificate of analysis, and so they are getting that from the flour mill. The flour mill uses mostly wheat from Argentina. About 80% of the grist is Argentinian wheat, and they're getting weird numbers. They're getting a falling number of 312.
Mm.
And let me enlarge this here. And other numbers,
And just for those who are not familiar with this, 250 is the place to be.
yeah,
Is that right?
yes. So around 250 would be
So
perfect. So
312 is higher means not enough enzymes. Is that right?
yes, not enough enzymes.
Okay,
So need to add either some alpha amylase or add some malted barley flour is what's
correct.
commonly done.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
and
So enzymes a little off.
Yep. And then the alveograph is at 250 on the W. The P is 126 and the L is 33. So that just seems really kind of out of whack, right?
What should
Um,
it be?
I don't
Tell our audience what
remember
should
off
we
the
be.
top of my head.
Okay.
It just seems very, very far apart, right? Um,
I
and
guess people could visit our alveograph page
Yes, that's the
to
best thing, yeah,
determine.
is to check
Okay.
that out. So a discussion has ensued on this, and one of our prominent, experienced commercial members has said that he wouldn't trust that sheet, that to go back to the mill and have them double check it. So just because you get something in writing doesn't mean it's always accurate, because we're all human beings. Somebody could have made a mistake.
Right. But you know what? I actually do trust readings that are out of the ordinary than
Mhm.
readings that are in spec.
Yeah. And the other
Mainly
suggestion has,
because nobody really wants to report out of
yeah,
spec, right? So these people are actually reporting the right thing
yeah.
because
So
this is obviously what she's experiencing. Are they seeing the same thing in the flower, or is it just a spec issue?
it's just the spec right now, and so they were asking about whether they could or should add some L-cysteine, and
Mm,
that has been agreed upon that that would help, since I believe it's because of the P and L numbers in the
yeah.
alveograph that it's kind of showing that it's very strong or taking a long time to mix, right? Um, so that could be sort of what the indication is there. Um, and so, great suggestion from our members to help another member out
I
in.
like that. That is a simple, straightforward solution to solve, rheological problems.
Yep. And
Awesome.
so yeah, we
All
have
right.
some, yeah, adding L-cysteine,
Yeah,
and
so
it
let's
could,
go on to the next one.
yep.
Should we?
And yeah, so the next one is,
It's hamburger buns with pockets
yeah,
near the
there's like
top
little air
crust.
pockets near the top of the crust, right? And this is pretty common when either the dough is much too warm, or even more common is too much oxidation. And so there, basically the inquiry has been, could it be the divider? And could it be emulsifier? Could it be oxidation? So inquiring a little bit more information from the member, from the original poster, on what his formula is, so to help be able to troubleshoot that. So, the picture is, of course, always helpful. It tells a thousand pictures, a thousand words, as they say. However, that leaves open a lot of guesses with just the picture. So, we're digging a little deeper to get some of the formula information on this. And most likely it's oxidation related. That's most common. Too much ascorbic acid is often an issue where people use dough improvers, and if a little is good, more is better, right? And that isn't always the case,
That's correct. Yeah. So I see discussions on there. It seems to be a more of a complicated issue, not like the previous not like the previous question. So if any of you have any more questions, chime in, comment and provide more solutions for this baker. So go on there and chime in right now.
Yep.
Let's move on to the next question, and that is about the chemistry of pH in batter, pre-bake, and post-bake. And how do someone use this to estimate the natural shelf life of mold inhibitor? Mark, can you go a little bit more in depth into this question? Why is this person asking that?
So this person is, as they call themselves, a cottage food producer. So they're basically making relatively small amounts at, baking from home, I would guess, right? And for maybe a farmer's market or something like that. And they want to improve the shelf life through lowering the pH in the product, right? Um, this product actually this person is working on is not a typical baked good from what I understand. I think this is the same fellow who's making a vegan bacon, and that this is kind of where the part of the question is coming from in terms of batter related issue, because when we say batter in the baking industry, we're usually thinking of something similar to a cake batter or a loaf cake batter or a biscuit type batter or something. And that usually has chemical leavening in it. So there's a lot more happening in terms of the sodium bicarbonate, neutralizing acids, and so on, it's much more difficult to estimate anything in that sense, because you have to understand how much it is going to be neutralized, right? So this is something that likely contains no sodium bicarbonate in it. And so it's trying to estimate he's trying to look at, if my batter pH is 5, will I still have a pH of 5 after baking, or do I lose some of that pH in the baking process because of the heat? And is there a way to calculate that? I am not familiar with it. I suggested like a pH meter, because you can buy one on Amazon for like $60, right? Um, because estimating is always just going to leave you in a gray area. Checking it with the pH meter, you always know what you have, right? And maybe you can lend some insights to us on the chemistry of what's happening there. Does it change that much during baking? I don't know, right?
I don't think it does unless something did not react, right?
Yeah.
So if it's too much leavening acids and not enough base, then definitely the pH is going to change.
Mm-hmm.
But you really have to be there to solve it. It's so
Yeah.
difficult. You can ask everyone around what to do in terms of pH. I don't understand why this person focused right on pH. For me, I would focus more on water activity, and I would focus more on sanitation conditions, because those are going to help you solve
Yep.
the issue of shelf life faster. In
Yep.
terms of pH for leavening acids, you are definitely going to see the effect of the pH by tasting the product.
Mm-hmm.
If there is an imbalance, you firstly gonna see a huge difference in the volume, right? And then you're gonna feel difference in the taste. Just so this is a holistic problem that I find it unusual to just focus on the pH.
Yep.
So I would I would definitely go back to the bench and test some water activity, and test some sanitation conditions, and then go from there. If it's the cottage industry kind of food producer, definitely try to get the cake into a sterile condition and package it into a sterile condition, and then use that as a control versus getting the cake onto the usual shelf, onto the usual packing room, and then see, difference between sanitized and non-sanitized condition. If you see that's a huge difference, which I think there is going to be a huge difference, then it's your sanitary conditions, right?
Yeah, and
Because
that's the
yeah,
thing with a lot of the cottage industry producers is that there's a lot of assuming that takes place, that assuming that lowering my pH is going to, inhibit the yeast growth and going to give me long shelf life. They don't check anything. They don't confirm anything.
yeah,
Um, and the thing is, as you said, I mean, a big part of it, as we so often talk about it, it's so often is that it's sanitation, because when it comes
right.
out of the oven, it's sterile. It's the
Yeah, it is
if it's
sterile
been in
coming
the
out of the
oven at
oven. And
350
also,
for
don't
20
forget,
minutes.
I don't think a lot of bakers use Calpro in this situation. A lot of bakers use potassium sorbate
Yeah.
and maybe cultured wheat to a certain
Yes, cultured
extent.
wheat is
I'm not
becoming very
sure.
popular. Yep.
And that is like I don't know. I think pH may not work as such a huge uh, uh, what you call swing in the pH is going to affect potassium sorbate.
Hmm.
So that's my question too. Um, Honestly, Mark, I don't think that's much research done in this area.
Yeah, it's an interesting conversation that is going
Yeah,
on. There's been a few people have been contributing comments and stuff, so
yeah,
it is quite interesting. And one little thing I want to add, just generally, as we always talk about um, sanitation, and especially when you're baking at home and stuff, and people often don't realize how dirty the air is, especially in your home. And just think of, I think about, for example, when I was a kid, every Saturday, my siblings and I, there was four of us. We had to our part of our jobs, our tasks on Saturdays was doing all of the dusting. We had to dust everything around the house. And today, in a modern house, we have even more glass than ever before. And so if you just think about how much dust collects on your glass surfaces in just a week, and that's in the air all the time, and that collects on your baked goods as well, when you pull them out of the oven and if you don't have them in a clean area. And if you open the window
absolutely.
and you have a mushroom farm next door, well, you guess what? You're getting all that on your breads as well, right? Um,
Right. Yeah. My biggest recommendation for all cottage food producers is really when you cool that cake, make sure you cool it in a sterile environment. So you could do anywhere from, covered closets to, cooling racks with the
Plastic sheets. Yeah,
zippers,
yeah.
yeah, covers, and then put it into the reefer,
Hmm.
things like that, rather than sitting out and having the fan blow over it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I just saw, a cottage candy producer the other day, right? They were making the candy, they were pulling it, making like a Christmas candy. And then there was a fan blowing over it. I'm just like, whoa, people, seriously, don't have
yeah,
that fan blowing over
yeah.
any kind of food, you know?
Since there's not enough dirt on there, let's blow some more on.
Exactly. Air conditioning is the best way of doing this. And changing out the air filter in your air conditioning is the fastest way to cool products, right? And the
and
most sanitized
and
way
if
to
you
do it.
do have a situation where you need to, for some reason, have a fan to help move air, then you know get something. If you don't want to spend thousands of dollars, you can have somebody handy carpenter build you a nice fan box where you can put a couple of filters and a HEPA filter in and filter all of that air so that you're blowing nice clean air onto your product, right?
Right. And Mark, on top of that, it will get really clogged up really, really fast if you do that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better for everyone to put the cooling area away from the production area, at least a wall to keep the
Mm-hmm.
flour out if you're going to cool that way, or things are just going to get clogged up really
Yep.
fast. So a lot of these things, it needs to be consistently talked about when we talk about cooling products.
That's true.
Yeah.
Very true. Yeah.
Let's go on to the next last discussion on there. So you were talking about adding fats, whether to add fat in the final stage or to add it in the sponge and dough method.
Yes.
What is the general consensus on that?
The best is to add your fats in the sponge and dough method in the sponge. Also, if you're adding additional wheat gluten, it's a good idea to add the wheat gluten in the sponge. So because it helps mellow the gluten and give it more extensibility and improves your mixing. And the same goes with terms of adding the fat into the sponge. It's going to improve your mixing so that it doesn't coat all of the gluten in the entire dough. It's just in the sponge there, right? And so whether it is liquid oil or shortening, it is best to put it in the sponge.
All right, sounds good.
Excellent.
So, that's a lot from the forum. I want to take a few minutes to thank you for what you do,
Oh, my
Mark, for
pleasure.
this year and the forum members. How much have we increased membership to?
We have grown quite a bit. We're over 2,100 at this point.
Wow.
Um, so it's I see like every week about 15, 20 new members every week. So it continues to grow. I'm sure it's through referrals and as well as discovery and the activity that we have. Because
Right.
it is a closed group. It's something
It
you
is a
have
closed
to.
group and it's about 30 over 30 posts a day. So the
Yep.
people there are very engaged.
Yeah, it's really good. It's very engaged. That's the thing is that it's not just a high number of members, it's a very active members. So it's really a very active group and a lot of good solutions. Very very few problems ever with any bullying or anything else like that. Some of the minor incidences that we have seen between my colleagues Ashunai and Joanna and myself, we've shut that down really quick, diplomatically, and we've managed to keep them in the fold and just cool it a little bit. Be nice. Number one rule is be nice.
Not difficult, folks.
And so
Well,
yes,
I look forward to growing this community in 2023. And Mark, thank you so much for culturing a community that cares and that helps each other solve problems.
thank you. Yeah, I thank all the
Thank you so
members for all
much.
of their support. They make it fun. They make it all worthwhile.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming on to Forum Friday. We'll
All
see
right,
you soon.
happy holidays and all the best in the new
Happy
year.
holidays and Merry Christmas.